So if you watched the mini episode, you saw me do a compression test on my old Honda NC50 moped, and it failed pretty badly. So I'm going to take the cylinder head off and pull the cylinder and the piston out of this thing and just see how bad it looks down inside of the cylinder. If the cylinder walls look decent, maybe I'm just going to throw a new piston, a new set of rings in it, new gaskets, clean up the head, clean up the cylinder, and just put it back together. If everything looks just totally trashed though, I will reevaluate. I might put a 70cc big bore kit into this. My only reservations are that I don't really want to put like an expansion pipe on it. I kind of like to keep the stock muffler just for quietness sake. And if I put the big bore kit on it, I would probably be smart to upgrade the intake and go to a different carburetor, or just do something like buy one of the party packs from Treatland, and that gets kind of expensive. So probably just going to take this apart and put it back together as a 50cc totally stock. I think these cylinder head bolts only torque to a whopping like 7 or 8 foot-pounds, which is hilarious. Knock the exhaust off. Got everything laid out on the workbench now, and that's the exhaust side of the piston. It is scored pretty badly. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus on that. See all the vertical scoring on it there. And the cylinder matches. I'm not sure if that light's going to be too bright. Probably so. Try and kind of do the same thing. Pick it up and bring it to the camera. Get some light in there. Kind of see it right there. It's scored severely on the exhaust side. Those are really deep scratches that will grab your fingernail. You can also, probably hard to see on camera, but you can see the witness marks of how, kind of see it right there a little bit, how the piston was just sat in this cylinder for a long time, and you can see it was rusted all around it other than where the piston sat. So this bike was handed down to me from my uncle. He passed away a few years ago, and it came into my possession after that. He got it like on a trade or something, I think. I don't know. He was sort of like the quintessential old school hot rodder. He was really involved with drag racing Chevrolets, which you might find funny because I'm not a Chevy guy. He even crewed for a Top Fuel team for a little while, I think like in the early 90s. But mostly he was really into vintage Harleys, and that's actually kind of where I cut my teeth working on stuff, was hanging out with him in his garage. And so this was something he got somewhere along the lines. The last time this bike was registered was in 1987 in Maine. My family's from Connecticut. I've just ended up in South Carolina as a result of my parents. So this bike sat for a really long time. It only has 242 miles on the odometer, and I'm inclined to believe that that is true. The condition of the bike otherwise is, I mean, this thing's like in perfect shape. everything's there, nothing's missing, nothing's been hacked up or cut up or modified. And I have a title for it too, which is pretty cool. So I think that's what happened. This just sat for a really long time, and I probably did that when I went to try and crank it up. I don't know, I probably should have like squirted some oil down it and see if I could have found some way to spin it over by hand other than just kicking it over and popping the brake lever and seeing if it would run. It's also possible that damage was done before I even got it, and that might be why it got parked. In any event, I guess now I got to decide, do I try and track down a 50cc cylinder and piston set? I know Treatland sells them, but they're kind of pricey, I think, about $100. Or do I spring for the 70cc big bore deal and have to deal with all of the stuff that's going to come with that? You know, that stuff's for a Hobbit, so you have to clearance some of the rear fins on the cylinder. I don't know if I want to deal with that or not. I guess I'll just decide. But that's probably it for this episode. That's just a quick teardown of the top end on a Honda Express NC50 moped.